Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble Grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. My opponent's gone first, with Sachet. I don't have a bingo, I've got good scoring tiles in the J and the X. So I'm going to be looking to play off one or both of those. Now there are no vowels next to premium squares. And I'll also be looking to play off one or two of my vowels. I'm looking to see if I can get either of my J or X on the triple letter squares in column 10. Can't see a way of doing that. Well, what I could do is play Jeep across here. And this is not going to provide very much for my opponent. And it achieves most of what I'm looking to achieve, including scoring well. I draw the Q. I don't have a U, but I do have an I for playing Chi. But with the board as it stands, I'm not going to score very much. I can play Chi in row I, making C as well. Only 15 points. So I'm going to look to see how much I can score with my X. Not very much with the board as it stands. I don't know my opponent, but I note that his rating is very high. So he should be pretty good. I note for future reference that sachet is a verb, so could be extended to sachaying. Well, there goes my Chi spot. And my opponent hasn't provided very much. Well, my E can go on the end of Jap, and my X can go on the end of SO. But I don't think I can use both of those hooks. Now, what about column 11? Do I have anything? Do I have a double-double through PA? I don't think so. So, do I play Rex across here? Only 22 points, and I'm keeping the Q. But if I don't play there, what alternatives do I have? Well, what about Re here? Not too keen on that. Well, I'm not very enamoured of any of the options I've considered so far. EST only takes an S after it. I can't see a way of even getting a double word score in column 11, let alone a double-double. There's nowhere for my Q. Well, I think I am going to play Rex. It denies a fairly good opportunity for my opponent in the same spot. And I am keeping the I to go with the Q. Great, look at that. I draw a Q. Nearly liqueur, but not quite. But I have relique. Fantastic. Yes, and I can play at column 4. Fabulous. Yeah, I think there's just the one spot for it. Well, that's a turn up for the books. I had the feeling the queue was going to hang around for a while. But it's not. So, relique 87, fantastic score. Is there anywhere else that I've overlooked for this play? Rory takes an R after it. So I could play relique in row M, but it's not going to get doubled. The Q would get doubled, but not the whole word. So this is a better spot. This looks close to a bingo, but I don't think I have one. I'm pretty sure I don't have a 7. I have a few floaters to consider in relique, principally the consonants R and L. So I've got multi as a prefix, so nearly multi-age. I've got the IUM suffix. Okay, I can't see any bingos. I do have a scoring tile in the M, and I'll be looking to play off the U and one of the I's. Good response from my opponent. He's now just 7 points behind. So, how can I sort this rack out? And I'm drawn immediately to row A to see if I can play above Raculing. If I do, my E needs to go above the L. So I can either play in row A or I can play down column 8. So I've got glum and gloom in column 8. 33 points for gloom, keeping IIT, which isn't fabulous. So if I placed my E there, is there any way I can play off a U or an I as well? Well, I don't think there is. Now the other spot to consider is the right-hand side of row A. So beginning above the G of Raculing, I could have a play beginning UM. Okay, I could play elsewhere on the board, but this is a really hot spot, and my opponent is likely to score well off it. I'd rather have 2 I's than an I and a U, I think. Well, let me just see what this looks like. I do have the U for going after the Q. I have a slight doubt about gloom, G-L-U-M-E. I certainly don't want to play a phony. What about Ulimi? Again, I have a slight doubt about this. Yeah, it's Ulima. So I can go back. I'm going to try gloom. I think it's good. Well, let me try Glime. I hope this stays on, because I have drawn the blank and a Z. I don't feel great about it. But there are a lot of very similar words to Glime. Great, it stays on. Now, my opponent gets 30 for cover. I am 10 points ahead of my opponent. I've got the blank. Do I have a bingo? Well, I've got quite a few floaters to consider. I've got IZE as an ending, and I've got ING as an ending. I'm not sure about Lutzing, but in any event, I don't think there's anywhere for that as a 7-letter play. And I may not need a bingo to score well with this, because I do have the Z. I've got 11 minutes left. There are 45 tiles left, so I don't have a huge amount of time. Can't see anything through the C. I also have UN as a prefix. I would have utilizing through 2 letters, but they aren't available. So what about through the O? I've got out as a prefix. Tousling. Wow. Oh my word. This is huge. Look at this. Fantastic. I don't think I am going to look for a better word, because I don't think one exists on this board, and I am mindful of the time. Tousling 122. And that's pretty good. Sodane, Adonize, Anodize, and Sachet takes an S, so those all play in column 13. Rory, I think, only takes an R, not an S. Tousling, I don't think takes an S, but even if it does, well, yes, if it does, then Sodane would play in row O, but I don't think it takes an S. I've now got a 130-point lead. So if column 13 is blocked, do I have an alternative? Bingo. This is a pretty good set of tiles. In row D, I've got domains and nomades and nomadize and am I dones. So quite a few bingos there. Of course, all of those would be blocked if my opponent plays in column 13. He doesn't. Fantastic. So, what to do? 18 for my opponent. He's opened up row O, but I'm likely to score the same or more in column 13. And I'm tempted to play Sodane. It doesn't take an S after it. So, 81 points. Fantastic. And I think the bingo run ends with this rack, but it's still pretty good because I've got a mixture of vowels and consonants, and I've got a scoring tile in the M. I've now got a 195-point lead. I'm looking in column 1. I've got Moa I at L1 down for about 37 points. That's pretty good. Only 20 points for my opponent. And he's played off lots of tiles, which is good. So this is what I was looking at. MOAI. It is keeping the duplicate D, but there are no more Ds left unseen. And 37 points is a pretty good score. Can I do better than that? Well, I can't play underneath rattled in row O because I don't have an E for going underneath the R. And there's nowhere else really good for my M. And this is quite a hot spot where I'm playing. So is there a better word in this spot? My D could play where my M is. And I could have a 5-letter word beginning in front of the L of Tousling. Well, I can't see anything better than this. That is a pretty good pickup. Still got the 2 Ds, of course. And I don't have an E for going underneath rattled. I could play vertically in column 8, exactly where my opponent's gone. And I note that he has the K, which could have played where my M played, so he may have had an even higher scoring play in column 1 if I hadn't gone there with my Moai. Now 13 tiles left. They're pretty bingo-y, and they include a blank. I don't think I have a bingo with this rack. I do have a scoring tile in the V. It would be nice to play off the D and to play off a lot of tiles. Something like avoid. And look at this. Sometimes opportunities just present themselves. That's avoid 42 points. I don't draw the blank, but I've still got a pretty good set of letters. I don't have a 7-letter bingo. Unwit, that takes an S. There's an S and a blank out there. Unwit does not take an H. Only 4 tiles in the bag. If my opponent does bingo, he's not going to win. He's about 200 points behind. So 4 tiles left. I'm looking to play off 3 so that if he bingos, I still get another go. Now, can I obstruct the column 15 bingo? I'm not sure that I can. Or can I? What about playing in row I, beginning underneath PA? So I'm looking for a 3-letter play which doesn't take an S and ends in column 14. So a 4-letter play with the O in 3rd place. Can't see anything going there, so how can I score well and, well, possibly even bingo myself, even if my opponent bingos, because this is quite a good set of tiles. So I need to play off 3 tiles. Probably need to play off the H for score. Probably would like to play off one of the R's. I've got 5 minutes left. Just looking at the floaters in Gleim in case I have an 8-letter bingo. I don't think I do. So where can I score well? I could play off 2 tiles. The risk of playing off 2 rather than 3 is that my opponent can play off just 1 tile, fishing for a bingo. And also if the blank's in the bag, if I play off 3 tiles, I'm increasing my chances of drawing it. But what I haven't seen is a good spot to play off 3 tiles. This scores 20 points. Can I do better than that? Sometimes small moves at this stage of the game can have a big impact on the winning margin and can result in a lot of lost equity if you don't find the best move. It's not particularly great keeping the G and the D. What I can't do is find anywhere to play off G, H and R. I think ARGH is good, but there's nowhere to play that. Well, nowhere to play it through an A. I could play it in row C, but then I'd be emptying the bag. I think Hag Rider might be good, so if an eye was in the right place, I would have a bingo. Tricky rack. I've got 3 minutes left, so I need to make my mind up fairly shortly. Three vowels left. It would be so good to play off that G as well, but I can't do that. Well, what about playing off DGR, keeping heard? Keeping here, rather. So DGR. Grid. That's a nicer looking rack leave. Scores a lot less, 8 points less, but it's more bingo-y. Have I missed a better spot for these 3 tiles? Well, I think I spent enough time on this move. And in vain, in terms of getting a bingo, I've drawn 2 unbingo-y tiles in the W and the B. I don't have a bingo with this rack. My opponent could well have a bingo, but he's got the BF and the Y are unplayed, so he may or may not have a bingo. I've got 2 minutes left, so I'm looking for good places for my high-scoring tiles. Great. My opponent has now only got 6 tiles, so he can't bingo. And he'll probably be going out next go. So he could play brains in column 15, so I'm looking for one good scoring play. I'm wondering if unwit takes an E to make unwhite. I don't think it does. So, can I play off 2 of my high-scoring tiles? I've got 1.5 minutes left. Well, this is a surprisingly tricky rack to deal with. I've just got a minute left now. So I'm looking to play off 2 of BH and W. And I'm not seeing a way of doing that, but I'm sure there are several. This is so suboptimal. 24 points. And I don't even have somewhere in mind to play off if my opponent doesn't go out, but he does go out, and I have actually seen Weber in race C. So, click pass to end the game. And the final score, 361 to my opponent, 495 to me, a winning margin of 134 points. So a big, big win. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go fast. He played Sachet. I had Jaxi through the A of Sachet. That would have been good. 38 points. That was certainly a miss. Well, I say it's a miss. Getting 35 for Jeep, just 3 fewer points, and EXI compares quite well with EEP, so not much between those moves. But I certainly should have spotted Jaxi and didn't. My opponent played Opt. And I struggled on this move to find something good, and... well. Now, I played Rex for 22, but I could have played it for 28 points in row I, which would have been better. My opponent plays Rory, and I was very fortunate to have Relique, which played in 2 spots. This was the higher scoring. My opponent came straight back with Reculing, and this was Myrak, and Gleim and Gloom were both good. Not much between those. IU is not a good combination, and II is not a good combination. I think Gleim probably slightly better. Now, well, this was my fabulous play, Tousling, and that was the only bingo, so that would have been annoying to miss, but I didn't miss it. 18 points for my opponent, and I drew a bingo. And I got 81 for Sedaine. I could have got 2 more points by playing Adonais, but what I didn't like about Adonais is that it's opening up a bingo lane in column 14, and Sedaine doesn't do that. I needn't have worried. My opponent had rubbish on his rack. Now, this is where I played Moai. And, well, it's suggesting Amido in row A for 36 points. I got 1 more point, but kept duplicate D. Probably Amido in row A was better. Good score for my opponent. And now I had a void in row A, which sorted the rack out nicely. My opponent had the blank and the S at this point. Nice play by him, opening up column 15. And here I had 7 minutes left and spent ages not finding a particularly great move. And looking at the scores and the rack leaves, there were no particularly great moves there. The best rack leave on offer, it comes from the play of REH, keeping grade, but that is leaving 2 in the bag rather than 1. But grid, I suspect, was not best. Now, did my opponent have a bingo at this point? No, he did not. And he played off FY for 40 points, which was a good score. And here I had 2 minutes left, and certainly didn't do anything too great. I was looking to play off 2 of my high-scoring tiles, and I could have done that with Obeya or Abhor, but I missed both of those. However, the 24 points I got is similar to the point scores on offer, but my rack leave was heavier, so suboptimal. And finally my opponent went out with the best play, Cabins, for 34. So a great game. It's always nice to score 500 or close to 500, and it's good to win. And it's great to have high-scoring bingos like Tousling, especially when it's not immediately obvious and you have this penny-dropping moment when you see it, which is one of the pleasures of playing Scrabble. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.